Okay, today's date is Saturday, March 9th, 2008. My name is Tracy Grimm, and with the University of Notre Dame, the Institute for Latino Studies, and I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with José Chavez, and we are going to do an oral history interview. Thank you so much, José.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
And I want to ask you, we were just talking earlier about, I asked, when do you find the time to do your art? And what, I thought you worked at the museum, but you said you're an accountant.
No, I'm an accountant. And, well, I just want to go back and tell you about why I'm doing art, As I mentioned it before, I always wanted to do art ever since I remember. And I had this fascination for art, paintings, sculptures, and everything. I cannot explain why.
And where were you born?
I was born in Mexico, and the state of Michoacán is between Guadalajara and Mexico City. I was in elementary school, and I wanted to do art, and I never was able to do art with my hands, and I felt frustration. And, later on, that when I finished, I think I finished until 8th grade or 10th grade, and then I was only 13. I went to this big city, Morelia, Michoacán, to continue and finish high school, and then try to go to the university, to college. And I remember that I was 13, and my brother and I were living, my father and my mother used to, they rented us a room, and we would live there and take care of ourselves, And I remember with my brother that he was also the same, he had the same fascination for art that I had, because we used to go to the government sponsor shows and 13 years old and talking to these artists and everything, but we were fascinated, and I used to go to the art school. I used to walk by and see the other kids, doing still lifes and everything. And so, oh my God, if I only can do that.
Oh, but you were good in math, or you were good?
Well, no. Basically, I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. The first thing that I attempted was engineering at school, and I'm so dyslexic and all those learning disabilities that that nowadays people. I was not aware at the time, And that was my first attempt, and I gave up, because basically I went to engineering school because my father wanted me to be an engineer, but I didn't know. If I had a choice, I probably would have go to art school and everything. But my father didn't. He wanted for me to be an engineer. Mm-hmm. So I quit the school and. I think I was like 17 years old, and I came to United States, and I came here for a while in Milwaukee, and then I moved to Minnesota and stayed for 1 year, and I saved enough money to go back to Mexico and pay for almost my entire college tuition.
So working,
and I was, when I went back, because I went to this very expensive school. I didn't know why I did that
in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. But thanks God, I was able to finish college there, and I took some money from here. And my father and my mother, they still were helping me, and I was working full time and attending school full time. And the first thing that I did when I finished college is that, what am I going to do? I still had this idea of art and everything. And I took like a 3-day class of photography. And I said, well, okay. And I bought a camera, and I used to take pictures. I didn't have a dark room, but I used to take pictures. And then in 1983, I came to the United States with my former wife, and we were going to stay, 1 or 2 years, because she was born here, and her father died, and she needed to be here to take care of his estate and her mom and things like that, and 1 year. It took us 2 years, and then 3 years, and And I said, I better go back. I better go to school, if I wanted to do well here, because even though I had a college degree in Mexico.
Was that in accounting? Or?
In accounting. In accounting, I was not getting, well, I was not doing any accounting jobs, I was doing factory jobs. I was doing everything. And so I went to Marquette University, and I remember that because of the language barrier and the demanding, the program was very demanding. I used to study all day and make to understand the English and do my work and read. A master's program is just reading. The teacher goes there and give you a lecture and then tells you chapter 5, 4, and 6 or what have you. And
so you were doing a master's.
And I was doing my master's, and I finished the master's, and when I finished the master's, I found a lot of time. I didn't know that I had so much time, because I used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning and go to sleep like 11 or 12. I was working part-time. I was raising also my daughter. My wife was working. And when I finished, I had so much time in my hands. I said, what am I going to do now? I know. This is my time now. So I started doing artwork. So I took a Metal Smith class, They teach you how to write.
When was that? What year?
Might have been 1990 that I took a class at METC, and I did a copper ball. But the thing is that the teacher, he was a jeweler, and he used to give us a demo how to do this, and we used to do it. And then once he was finished with his demo, he used to go to this corner and start doing fabrication, rings, bracelets, and things like that. So I was, doing my work, and I used to go there and watch him. And just by watching him, I learned how to cast, do jewelry, do all the techniques of jewelry. And then one day, there is a big festival that has a national recognition here, Lakefront Festival of the Arts.
Mm-hmm. In Milwaukee.
And one teacher told me, he said, hey, why don't you enter a competition, and the person who has the best piece, is gonna get to show the piece at Lakefront Festival of the Arts. So I said, okay. So what I did is, in a sheet of silver, I made an angel. I formed it just from a plain sheet, and I did a pin. Mm-hmm. No, pins.
Okay. To stick on?
Yeah, how you call it? I forget.
A pin?
A pin, something like that. But it was an angel. And what I did, with a piece of bone, I drew and painted the face of an angel and wings and everything. I think I still have it somewhere. So I won first place. Uh-huh. And I showed my piece at the Lakefront Festival of the Arts, and then I realized that I was painting. I said, if I can do this, I can do bigger things, And one thing led to the other one, and, the rest is history. And I do things like that now.
Oh, that's great.
Paintings and everything. So that's the story. And I've been doing it. At one point, I was doing a lot of art, but it was driving me crazy because I was sleeping like 4 hours for days, and it was very, very difficult. And I reached a point where I said, well, because I was not enjoying doing art anymore, but I was exhibiting at the Smithsonian and museums and everything, and I said, no, I have to, to set up priorities for me, and it's the only way that I can do it. Mm-hmm. So I put art in a second term, and now I do art when I can.
And now you're going to retire.
And I'm going to retire, but that was the plan, because I was thinking, well, you don't make money doing art. Not many people makes money. It's very, very difficult. However, I think, once that I retire and I can be a full-time artist, I'm going to approach it more like a business now, and I'm gonna apply everything that I learn about business, publicity and all those things, and I think I can do very well. because I can do art for art's sake, but I think if I'm gonna be doing this, I want to get recognition, not necessarily making money, but a recognition, that I'm an artist with some national or local or state recognition. I want to do that. And in order to do that, you have to approach it like a business, because very few people make a living doing art, and so that's my plan.
You mentioned that you were involved in arts organizations and some boards around some other people we know. Can you talk a little bit about the arts organizations?
The one thing that it is important is that it's very difficult for people. First, I believe in education very strongly because it was good for me. If it was good for me, has to be good for everybody, So I strongly believe in education, and I feel very strong about art education also. I know that in life there are other priorities, like you can make a living like in art, being an artist or being an art teacher and everything. But what I think is that you have to be involved in that. On the other hand, I wanted to, this community has been so good to me.
Milwaukee?
In general, United States, because, thanks to United States, believe me, I was able to go back to Mexico and pay for the school. I made money here.
What kind of job did you have when you were, I was curious.
When I was in Mexico?
In Minnesota, or when you were
in Mexico, I was doing factory jobs. I work in a meat company. But when I was in Minnesota, I was working 7 days a week and for months. And I was a punching press worker and I used to ask the supervisor, hey, I need to work. Can I clean the factory? Can I paint the factory? So they used to give me other kind of jobs so I can
earn more money.
Money.
Cool.
And I did that. And when I was here in Milwaukee, I was working at the Milwaukee Railroad track. And oh my God, it was one of the most difficult jobs in my life because, see, you have to understand this. In Mexico, young guys don't start working until age 18, 20 years old because there are no jobs. So you go to school and you don't find a part-time job. We don't have part-time jobs there, like here, because it's only in the United States. Only the United States has an economy to support things like that.
So you can go to school, you can have a part-time job.
Right, exactly. And so I never worked in my life. We were not rich, but my father and my mother used to work very hard. We never lack anything. We have the basics, food and shelter and clothes and everything. But I never worked. So when I came to the United States, and besides, I was a kind of troublesome kid in Mexico also at that age, because I think one factor that I understand now is my learning disabilities, because I have attention deficit disorder, and I was a troublemaker in school because I couldn't focus my attention. So I was never doing well in school, and obviously you don't do well in school. You become a clown and do things like that, and distracting and things like that. And so when I came here to the United States, my first job was working on the railroad track. And it was incredible hard, because I remember it was the summer. The first day, so, well, okay, you want to work here? I slept in a campament, just with wagons.
Oh.
And they used to house like 5-6 people there. And so I slept there and get up 4 o'clock in the morning. They give me a shovel and a pick, and we start digging. And 1 hour later, I was so tired, and my hands were bleeding. And I said, my God. And I was thinking, if I'm not good at school and I'm not good for working to do any kind of, I'm lost. What am I gonna do with my life? I was thinking at night, and it was so difficult. I remember the first night I didn't eat dinner because I was so tired. I couldn't even sit. I just wanted to sleep the first day. The next day, somebody gave me some gloves because my hands were bleeding doing the work, and I said, well, I'm not dead yet, So I keep doing it until I became physically fit to do that kind of work,
Right.
and work as hard as everybody else. But the first 2 or 3 nights, I was thinking that how life was so difficult, So I'm not good at school. What am I gonna do? I cannot even support myself. But I think one of the things that I have in my favor is that I learned discipline. From that point on, I start learning discipline and set goals for myself. And even not knowing it, I was applying some of the administration by objectives, where you set goals for some goals that you can attain,
Right.
small goals.
Reach.
And then,
Yeah.
So anyway, when I went back to Mexico, he said, well, I have enough money, I can probably pay, 3 or 4 semesters or 5 semesters. I'll give it a try. I'm going to give myself an opportunity, and so I went back, and I remember the first semester I was studying so hard, and I was not able to get good grades. I was getting, because I didn't know how, and I still had some dyslexia and all those problems, and I remember that the first semester I got like passing grades and three classes and like 1B, and I said, well, hey, I didn't fail, right?
Right.
I mean, and it's not that I didn't work hard. I did work hard. The only thing is that this is the best that I can do. So I went to the next semester, and I started learning more, learning to learn.
Yeah.
And I was getting better grades. And third semester, I was getting good grades. And I said, oh, I'm gonna work, because I was already in accounting, taking business class and everything. So I was working full time and attending school full time.
Wow.
And third semester, I was still thinking, another semester, like a step, take one step, and soon I was able to finish school, and I learned. I felt very good about myself, because then I knew that I was going to be able to do whatever I wanted to do if I set out to do it.
Right.
And that was a very good learning experience, more than anything else. And so and finished college, and I was working in Mexico. I had a very good job there. I didn't need to come here because economic reasons, but rather just to support my wife's plans of taking care of her family and things like that. And when I said, well, 2 or 3 years, okay, and then we come back to Mexico. No, I've been here already for almost 26 years, and what I think is great. This is home for me now. I go to Mexico like 2 or 3 times, but then I want to come back right away. And my daughters are here, so I have everything
Your
here.
family's here.
Yeah. So I bought a house in Mexico now, but what I plan to do is to probably go to in the winter, like January, February, March. Also because of the winter, and also because in Mexico, arts are big. People, or crafts. People crafts, people who do the small things like that. I mean, they are not considered to be artists. But they are, because what they do, it takes the same amount of inspiration and creativity than any other artist. And you find a lot of people there with, they don't think of themselves to be an artist, but, it's fascinating to see the things that they do and to learn from them. Since I never had the opportunity, I never had the benefit of going to an art class. I usually learn by watching others, some from others, or by experimenting myself how to do things. And probably I can tell you later on some of the things that are very innovative that you don't see here in the United States. Mm-hmm. But that's the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story.
And the arts organizations, I guess I
got
you off.
Yeah.
I moved you, but
well,
again,
I think if I'm gonna be an artist, I can do two things. I can get involved and have an impact and pay back a little bit of the very good things that I have received from the community, because the fact that I've been able to do all the things that I want, only in an environment like United States you can achieve that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the only reason. I don't have any other way to pay back. Right. I cannot give money because, for obvious reasons. If I were rich, very rich, probably I would be a philanthropist or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that I can do is volunteer my time and have an impact in my community, the Hispanic community, mm-hmm. and people, is getting to know me very well. That a lot of organizations call me to be on boards.
What organizations have you been involved in?
I've been involved in Walker's Point Center for the Arts, mm-hmm. which is one of the cutting edge galleries, and they have a program, school program there and everything, So I've been involved with that organization from probably for the last, 10, 15 years. And then I was in the boards of artists working in education. And I've been in a lot of committees. I'm in the Milwaukee Art Museum. I'm an educational trustee committee member of the education and all that. And we have an impact. We have had an impact because before that, the art is very elitistic. Only people with a lot of education and different background, and they are recognizing the need to get involved in the community and reach people who otherwise don't have access to art. Because the people who support, the very rich people who support the museum, they say, well, we have this wonderful thing, millions of dollars, and we need to see that this has an impact on the public.
And they need an audience.
Because, philanthropy nowadays, I don't know if you know that, is being seen as a business like anything else. If you want to give money, the first thing that they are asking, what am I getting for my money? Right. They are doing it now. In the past, they used to, I want to look good, and, some people have the heart, yes, for the benefit of other people. Some people is just to want to showcase their wealth and everything. But nowadays, the ones that I know, they usually see it as a business. I know very, I know very rich people.
They want to know that their money
exactly. They wanted to see what is the return on my investment. Is the way that they see it. And the reason I know there, because I know I'm friends of these people. Mm-hmm. And I like that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I like that. And so, in Milwaukee Art Museum, the Hispanic community, we have Day of the Dead and
the Milwaukee Art Museum.
The Milwaukee Art Museum is a big thing because Walker's Point was the first organization who recognized a cultural tradition as an expression of art. Like Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, mm-hmm. and they held the first celebration, and every year is very, very popular, mm-hmm. very, very popular. Rosa, you saw it in the UCC. Mm-hmm. And she's been doing it for the last 10 years, and it's very popular because then you see people who normally don't go to art exhibition coming to the and it's one of the most successful. And I didn't realize it last year. I noticed that we had in Milwaukee Art Museum is done. They have a program that is called Family Sundays, where they get families together for 2 or 3 hours, and they have different. Every Sunday they have different theme, like Mardi Gras or where have you, St. Patrick's Day, and they do something related to that. But Dia de los Muertos is getting to be the most successful celebration that for the Milwaukee Museum. Last in October we have like 3,000, more than 3,000 people. 3,000 for an attendance for one day or two. I mean,
that's great.
You see the people, you know. And the other thing that I was involved is that I noticed that when you are trying to start as an artist, there are very little venues where they wanted to showcase your art. So I said, well, you know, we have to do something about it, you know, and the only way that you can do is to get involved, you know, go.
Make your own space.
You know, make your own space, get involved with museums, with art organizations, and you know, one of the things that, you know, the museum here is very close. Unless you have a name you can show there. And Mr. Gordon, he retired this month. When he came here, he offended a lot of people.
Was he the director?
Mr. Gordon, David Gordon, he left already. I think this is going to be his last month this month. And one day he went to talk to some of the most prestigious art organizations, sculptors, painters, and sculptors of Milwaukee or Wisconsin. And somebody asked him, how come they never showcase the art of Wisconsin artists? He said, well, and the guy says something like, well, you know, I'm not your mother something, you know, that I'm going to hang your artwork in the refrigerator, you know, you have to have a name for yourself, but something very harsh, something like that, you know, and people was offended, and he said that he was not the intention to offend anybody, but he wanted to be clear, you know, that unless you are somebody in the art world, you can show there. So I went there, and because I know some of the most rich, some of the most rich benefactors, I was sitting in this committee, and one day I was talking with Betty Quadracci, Quadrafics. It's a $1 billion family or more, you know. They do all the magazines and you know, bunch of magazines. It's one of the biggest. I don't know how you call it. Produce graphics in the country. You know, it has companies in Europe and South America, and they do the Sports Illustrated. They do a bunch of magazines. You know, big company. And she and her late husband, they pay for the Quadracci Pavilion. They gave the museum like almost $20 million. And we were talking one day, and she said, you know, I cannot believe that people doesn't come here and enjoy one, you know, something like a New York where you go to the museums and people have lunch and you know, in the museum, and they come and enjoy the facilities, not necessarily to see the art, you know, and we have this great facility, nobody comes. And then occurs to me, how about if we do a festival, you know, like a artist market? So on the one hand, we can show Wisconsin artists sponsored by the Milwaukee Art Museum, and the other, we clean this image that you have of elitism, and probably help to clean Mr. Gordon's name also, you know. And so somebody liked my idea, she liked my idea, and Franz Erling, which is I think is the public events, called me one day and said, well, we like your idea. How can we approach this? So I was thinking about my friends, Mike Flanagan, Raul Deal. They know everybody, and I know some people, and we got together and we made a plan. And this is the third year. And the thing is that you know, this is a venue for artists to show their artwork there. So those are the things that we can do. You know, you get involved. And I never show my art there. I always do in administrative, volunteer my time and everything, but I don't care, you know, because I know that I'm doing something. You know, I know that when it's my time, I know how I'm going to do it, because I think I have more opportunities than the other artists to show my artwork. Because art, besides, you can do art for art's sake, but it's also, you have to see it as a business in which it's like have a marketing plan, a business plan, because can you imagine, I don't know how many Picassos are there in life, and people is never going to know about them because they don't have the right approach to art. And I think I can do it from my point of view. So in that sense, I cannot wait until retire so I can start doing art and
When do you retire? When is it?
I'm gonna be retiring in April next year.
Oh, you could set your plans. Time to plan.
Yeah, I've been doing that, but I also the other thing that I like to do, I like to speak. To influence students and show my artwork. I like to do that because I always get a good response from people. I can grab their attention, and I still have people that I meet on the street say, "Do you remember you went to the class?" Oh, yeah, well, 5 years ago. Yeah.
So, what kind of venues were like schools or the university?
Well, usually I can go anywhere, but I rather as cruel as it sounds, I like to talk to kids, small kids, because sometimes I have to do it because somebody has to do it. But I don't want to do it because you have a class like a 30, and only 2 or 3 kids will be, and the rest don't care. And those 2 or 3 kids is because they love art, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I hate to be talking and nobody paying attention, and I don't know if I have an impact or not.
Yeah, with little kids.
And so I don't do that. But I'm fascinated. I love to do it in universities or for adults that are interested in how some art forms from Mexico, cultural things are done. Like sugar schools. Have you ever seen the candy?
Yeah.
Things like that. I do that, and I have a video. I share it to you, like a 5 minutes video, like later. And some of the things that I do, and one of the things that I when I go to those universities, I'll try to do motivational speeches, to show them the value of education and to show them the need to give back to the community. Even though you pay for a school and everything and you do your effort, but somehow we have some responsibility because the environment where we live is the right environment to thrive. And I mean, I would like to see other people, like in Mexico, where everything is more difficult, where we don't have so much riches, so much opportunities, and that's the reason I recognize that they need to give back to the community. Volunteering your time is the only thing that I can do and have an impact in the community, And that's the reason I got involved. Every time that somebody called me, like, you want to come to this? Like when somebody told me to come to UCC to talk to, I go there and see what can we do about it. But it's the reason I do it.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. So.
Shall we look at some of the other?
Oh, let me show you. Let me show you around.